Politica all the way. Politica all the way. Politica all the way.
Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, and those watching all over the world, magandang buhay po sa inyo lahat. Ito po si Jojoy at ito po ang Politika All the Way. I always say that it's an exciting interview and guest that we have today. Pero siguro ito ay one notch higher in excitement and interest, no? Okay, let me just highlight a few of his achievements and what he's doing kasi napakagaling ng guest natin. He's actually a lawyer, an accomplished lawyer, and a law professor, constitutional law professor for more than 2 decades. He's also a political, a presidential spokesperson at one point, now a political commentarista and podcaster. And siguro, he's one of those guys na you can actually say that intelligence and humor can actually coexist, plus good looks in politics. Please welcome on the program Attorney Edwin Lacierda.
Kumusta? Good evening.
Magandang
Just
buhay,
call me
sir.
Edwin, ha? Just call me Edwin.
Attorney Edwin, spokes or well, first off, you look great.
Thank you.
You
You look just as well.
Last time I saw you was one of those events I think I hosted almost a decade ago for President Noy Noy, God rest his soul, one of our greats, presidential greats. And you still look the same a decade after.
Ano naman?
Hindi, talaga ba?
We age. All of us age.
Oh no, but you're aging glamorously and gracefully. Naisip ko tuloy, uso ngayong mga vampiro, parang Edward Cullen ang dating mo.
Pumayat lang ako. I used to be bigger.
Oh, so that's the key to it. You should lose weight.
No, I had an angioplasty before. So
okay.
what compelled me to really lose weight.
But
So I had the world record by that time, 2014. You know how many stents were put into my body?
How many?
11 stents.
11?
That was a world
Stents?
record. That time.
Wow.
In fact, I was anonymously being described in mga medical events, conferences. That was my what do you call that? I forgot. Interventionist na tawag sa kanila. Was a very good doctor.
Oh, okay. Wow.
They wanted my cardiologist wanted to do a bypass. But sabi nung cardiologist ko, busy yan sa gobyerno, gawa mo ng paraan. So they just did a angioplasty of 11 stents. Now there are more than 11. The technology is so good right now. You don't need to do a bypass. So that's
But
why-
how do you feel now? You look great. You look.
I'm okay.
You're agile.
But you do have to exercise and diet. So
So
that's a requirement.
the order of the day is about VP Sara. Is she truly in the running? You think?
Yes, I think VP Sara is destined to run because there's nobody in the Duterte camp who can do that. I think the other one most likely who can run if Sara doesn't run is Senator Bongo. But I think there's really just a momentum because of the surname. And for the longest time, she's been the leading presidentiable.
Yeah, but the leading presidential that would not translate to. We've seen it happen before, di ba?
With a few exceptions, for instance, Erap never wavered in his numbers. But for most, like for instance, Vice President Binay, Senator Grace Poe at that time, and some others also, they were leading, but towards the end, nagsasawa rin siguro yung tao, especially if they don't see anything good coming. But there's a difference right now. We are all in echo chambers because of social media. You just listen to what you wanna hear, and so they've built a very robust echo chamber where it seems like there's a cult-like following on the Duterte side.
You think it's just echo chambers? These are all trolls? Is that what you
Most
said?
likely, I would believe that they're organic naman. But I think there's troll behavior eh. You can't miss it eh. For instance, in the show that I have, you would see it eh. So very, very, they would say, attendance pa, yung mga nagpapa-attendance, yung mga ganun talaga, troll talaga sa mga, or rather, media army.
Media army. Well, they're having they have a great way of putting all this together. Especially now that sabi nga nila, parang all the monies that are getting into the how would I politically correctly say it, but the funds that the office of the vice president are using are medyo sort of saying are being misused. Is that
Well, that's an accusation against her,
Mhm.
and that's why there's an impeachment complaint that was filed against her. So we'll see. The problem right now with the House, kasi malapit na ang election,
Mhm.
they're also looking at 2028. Eh kung if I vote again to file a case in the Senate, the congressman, baka ako balikan.
Oo nga eh.
Iba yung ano talaga, there's really more of a threat talaga eh, just because the Duterte name is synonymous with roughness and all that, di ba?
Mhm.
So there's a bit of a fear in some of them, but we'll see how they if they apparently once it's referred to the Justice Committee, there will be, in accordance with the new Supreme Court decision, there will be a sort of a mini hearing. So
Mhm.
evidences will also be laid out in the Justice Committee. So we'll see if the evidences are strong enough that could sway people to vote, to turn their preference towards another candidate.
Do you think the House of Representatives is doing enough to pursue this? You know,
It's a numbers game. Eh. I mean, well, obviously Martin is different from the current speaker Bojidi. What they said, Speaker Bojidi is a bit laid back.
Mhm.
So see, Martin was really gung ho about this whole
Mhm.
thing. So we don't know yet what's going to be the final outcome, and also largely it depends. And this is something that most people don't know. The House is always whoever's the speaker, galing kay presidente yan.
Yeah.
So there should be dapat ang House kay presidente yan.
That's right.
The problem is we don't know if the president wants to have an impeachment. Wala pang kumpas eh.
Mhm.
So that's a big. I'll tell you frankly, during our time, when President Aquino felt Chief Justice Corona was being too one-sided, he decided, let's go for impeachment. We tried. Some people tried to dissuade him, but seryoso siya. So we pushed through with the impeachment and tuloy-tuloy yun until he was convicted in the Senate. No? But it's going to be a long, tedious process. Vice President Sara Duterte is an existential threat to them, both physically and legally.
Physically.
No, because very, talagang, di ba nagbanta na
Yeah,
siya?
yeah. Oh.
So it's really an existential threat for them. And if you're smart enough, you recognize that Vice President Sara does not mince words. You have to take it seriously. But so far, we've not seen any serious effort on the part of the president. Kaya medyo we're still waiting. We'll know if they're able to muster, for instance, a 1/3 to bring it up to the Senate. At least on the part of the House, gawa na niya. In the Senate kasi, we call, there are 24 independent republics.
Right.
Although there are 24 senators and still have the consent of the president. Pero right now, the margin of the majority is very, very thin. But we just had a attempted coup. You only needed one vote. But unfortunately, Senator Bato de la Rosa wasn't there.
around. Right.
Had he been there, it would have been turned.
You mentioned Senator Bato de la Rosa. What do you think is going on in his mind now?
I think he's playing safe in the sense that there is a warrant of arrest. Although everybody's denying that they've never seen him except si Ombudsman Boying. He's just making sure that he doesn't suffer the same fate as the president. He doesn't want to be held to the Hague. Obviously, that's why he's hiding. So, but that means there would be a negative effect on the majority, on the attempt of the Senate to wrest control over against the majority.
Yung kay presidente ba, Ed, you think it's one, unconstitutional, and two, unpatriotic of us to actually hand him over to the Hague?
The thing is, there was a lot of debate on the Rome Statute. That was the one that made possible for a head of state, because otherwise, the Rome Statute is designed to protect a country against a head of state who commits act of crimes against humanity and all that. Not all crimes naman will be subjected to the ICC or the International Criminal Court. So when we decided to be part or become a member of the Rome Statute, we derogated some of our sovereignty. It's that way naman. Any treaty
right.
will require a derogation of some sovereignty because it's to belong to a certain. Because by the way, a treaty in international law, a treaty is above the Constitution.
Okay.
Because they look at, if for instance the international jurists we look at the international law, not the Constitution. But of course, in the Philippines, we regard the Constitution as our fundamental law of the land.
Right.
So there is an issue on yung ginawa ba kay President Duterte, legal ba yan? In fact, the Supreme Court has not acted on it yet. But as far as the International Criminal Court is concerned, their position is, for as long as we don't care how you arrest the person, the head of state, for as long as we did not take part and you deliver that person to us, we will take jurisdiction.
Oh, okay.
So walang pakialam ang ICC doon. Basta none of their personnel are involved in the arrest.
Right.
We ourselves arrested President Duterte and surrendered him to the ano. But because we're a member of that Rome Statute, we have to abide by it. Whether we feel it's against parang mali yan, pumirma tayo sa treaty eh.
Right.
So that's why si President Duterte, when he decided to leave the Rome Statute, his crimes were only would only involve the years where we're still a member of the Rome Statute.
Right.
So you
So
can
still covered, no?
it's covered yan legally talagang. And plus, even up till now, wala na tayong member ng Rome Statute. We're still obligated to help ICC on the investigation during the time that we were still part of the Rome Statute. So that's the legal thing about it. That's why you can argue emotionally, you can argue intellectually, but legally, wala tayong magagawa.
At least klaro na. And it's even clearer to me na mas binding yung ICC over the local constitution.
The treaty.
The treaty.
As far as the international law is concerned. Pero ang tingin ng international law sa constitution of every country, it's parang municipal law lang.
Right.
Pero pag tayo, syempre, we regard it that
as our fundamental law.
And by the way, under the Constitution, treaties form part of the law of the land. So hindi mo rin pwedeng sabihin. Kaya it's part of the law of the land. So the Senate, following the constitutional provision of approving a treaty or ratifying a treaty, they did it according to the Constitution.
Wow, galing ah. Wow, I'm learning so much now. You're being a professor is coming out. Mas klaro na sa akin.
Kailangan ko hindi nagtuturo ng batas.
Politica all the way. Politica all the way. Politica all the way.
Well, you don't miss teaching anymore.
It's very tiring.
It's very tiring. How about being a spokesperson? Do you miss it?
Oh no, that's the best part that I don't miss. Madugo, araw-araw talagang maano talaga. Because as a presidential spokesperson, I'm not limited only to the issues surrounding the palace. Pati problema ng DSWD, problema
That's
ng...
right.
They cover... In fact, one time, si Pinoy told me, why are you answering all these questions that is beyond the palace?
That's beyond your...
So, tayo ang tayo ang tinitingnan. So they ask, we would always get questions. I would always confer with, for instance, then Dinky Soliman of DSWD, kung may problema. Dinky, anong problema dito? So we will discuss. And so we make sure that we are able to convey the information. But it's a very difficult job. I don't envy Claire Caso, especially right now na talagang bangayan ang the Duterte side and the Marcos side. It's really a very tough fight. And Claire's talaga, bardugulan ng style niya. So okay lang.
But how would you have handled it if you were the spokes of the president of BBM?
I would have taken the cue from the president first. Certainly. Kasi when I started in 2010 as a campaign spokesperson, I'll tell you a funny story. So, si Noy would tell us, Edwin, this is what I learned from my father. You choose your battles. So, my father used to tell me to always lock horns upwards. No, para makipagbangayan ka, lock horns upwards. Kasi para may pakinabang sa'yo. Don't lock horns downwards.
With someone who's...
So, there was this case during the presidential election in 2010. May isang kandidato, bumanat kay Tita Cory. Binanatan yung nanay ni Noy. So, tawag sa akin si Noy. Sabi niya, Edwin, banatan mo. Sabi ko, Noy, seller-dweller tong kandidatong to. Baka, di ba sabi mo sa akin, don't lock horns downwards? Kasi anong...
Sisikat pa yan.
Exactly.
Sisikat pa yan.
Tataas pang numbers yan. Sabi, sige. So, after 30 minutes, hindi, Edwin, banatan mo. Hindi mo rin talaga emotionally kasi syempre very personal yung ginawa ng kandidato. So, and I did. But you'd always take the cue because if you don't take the cue, minsan ayaw niyang banatan o hold ka muna, mapapagalitan ka. So we would just say, sir, what do we do with this? Diba? Parang ganun.
Mahirap din pala yung ano, no? Kasi you're in a situation na sometimes some questions will crop up, and then the press briefing is ongoing. Mahirap naman, Ed, yung biglang, just a moment, let me just confer with the president.
No, what we do always, the cardinal rule with the president, at least si Pinoy was, huwag kang magwiwido. Sabihin, pag di mo alam, sabihin mo,
I'll get back to you.
I'll get back to you, yes. So that's parang, kasi pag nag-widow ka, narinig niya yan, babanata ka niya. The whole idea of being a spokesperson is that there is a public audience, but the most important audience is the audience of one, which is your principal,
the president. That's
so
true,
talagang
that's true.
yan, importante yan na dapat in sync ka with. That's why, there are two things that the president, Pinoy did for us, for me, no? The position of presidential spokesperson is always a USEC position. When I was offered 3 jobs and 2 others involved, sabi niya, pero Edwin, yung dalawa may banta sa buhay mo. Yung pangatlo, yung una yung spokesperson, yung dalawa may banta. So we were in Times Street, tamang-tama nandun si Mar and si Butch Abad. And President went to his room, and then Mar told me, if you want to see how policy is made, and since you already have a close relationship with the president, you stay as spokesperson. And true enough, ang ganda ng because you see policy being done. How they make policy, and then you discuss pa. And the other thing that he did was, Mar also suggested to him, since he is your spokesperson, and he has to talk to all the cabinet secretaries, it would be unseemly if an undersecretary will be talking to, hindi pakikinggan niya, or he'll be having difficulty talking to the cabinet. Make him a cabinet secretary. Because normally, ang press secretary, dikit yan as spokesperson.
Right.
There's only one person who does that. Si Noy decided to break it up because he wanted to follow the US model of isang communications, and isa naman the infrastructure of the communication. So that's what he did, and therefore he made me a cabinet secretary. Otherwise, if you're not a press secretary and you were called as press spokesperson, you're just a USEC. That's why Claire Castro is just a USEC. Not to demean the position of being a USEC, because eventually my deputy Abby Valte has become so kilala na rin. She can also go straight to the cabinet secretary.
But that's actually smart on Pinoy's, President Noy's way of doing it, that system, because easily you can pinpoint, or you can see which one's doing right, who's performing correct, effectively, because you're just it's departmentalized.
Right,
Kung gano'n, doon ka lang.
Right.
Di ba?
Yun ang maganda ron, except that talaga medyo, it was during our time that media stopped having a deadline of 4 p.m. Kasi dati, traditional media ends at 4. Kasi tapos na.
Tapos na.
Yung papers are going to be printed na. And then siguro, right now, with social media, 24/7.
24/7
may breaking news pa. Minsan sa gabi, 24/7, may breaking news, namatay na raw si Noy. Ay, call out Noy. Sir, patay na raw kayo. I had to deny on
Pero bakit kaya gano'n, no? Like sinabi mo nga, basing it on getting it from what you said, laging gano'n na lang. We have never gotten away with yung president not having problems with the vice president. We've never had parang something like that.
Supposedly,
it was supposed to be a unit team.
Exactly. This was the time, this is the first time that the president and vice president belong to the same ticket. Almost always, and we saw that na parang the people would like to elect a president and a vice president different from the party of the president, precisely to check on the...
That's right.
Yan parang ganun ang
check and balance
mentality ng... Although talagang hindi naman talagang check and balance yan.
Dapat.
It's the House or the Supreme Court doing the checks and balance. That's why we were hoping that they would have a very smooth 6 years. Kasi nga,
in relationship,
same party.
Right.
Little did we know na may bangayan na pala sa loob.
And
by the way, totoo yung tama sila because in 2022, I was attending some focus group discussions. And you know what the people were saying? So you listen to what they're saying. Essentially, sinabi nila, ito 2021, sabi nila, pagod na kami sa bangayan. Gusto namin magbuklod-buklod. I had the same conclusion that we should do a unity. Ayaw nung side ko yung side ni Bongbong,
Mhm.
they decided to do a unity. That's why that commercial, yung Umagang Kay Ganda, was so
Yeah.
fantastic.
Mhm. Mhm.
It really just nag-gel ka agad. And ang ganda kasi nung commercial na yun.
Right,
eh.
right, right.
And they use unity.
Mhm.
And now, unfortunately, wala na.
Impunity yata nangyari.
Umitim daw eh.
Hindi, pero nangyari. Now they're doing things with impunity without naman lang, especially the flood control scam.
That was a real abuse of the
Right,
trust
and
of the people. The problem with right now, the problem with the Marcos administration is they have fundamentally lost the trust of the government.
Mhm.
You lose your currency once people lose trust in you. Wala, hindi maniniwala. That's why it's going to take them some time to recover that trust.
Mhm.
Kasi imagine mo, billion. Yung panahon namin, na Poles fan scam, we just, ang sabi, 10 billion lang.
Right.
Dito you're talking about almost, if you add up all the amount in 3 years yung sa budget, it's more than 1 trillion.
Yeah, and we're looking at just one agency.
Just one agency. And
Oo.
then we've heard already at some other, even within the agency, may mga issues pa sa farm to market
Right,
roads, yung
right.
mga iba pang mga
Right.
Sa ibang mga ahensya, ganun din. Pero ito talaga, they really focus on the hard project. This is very, very troubling because, and this is a flood control project, which eventually affected our economy, affected our stock market. People died, and also people lost trust in the government. It's a very, very debilitating effect on the Marcos administration. That's why our GDP is down.
Right.
And what former NEDA director si Solita Monson said, people stop, the government stopped because of they wanted to make sure, because of, let's avoid corruption. And it's hard because pump priming, government spending on infrastructure contributes 20% to our GDP.
That's
Imagine
right.
mo, nawala yun.
Oo.
So talagang babagsak yung ekonomiya.
So what needs to be done? You're talking about trust foremost. What needs to be done in the last, how many years does he have left? He'll have
2 years.
2 years?
More or less 2 years.
So I think for me, I've always been a positive person. All is not lost.
Yeah.
2 years is still, when you look at 2 years, I'm looking at it as 1,000 plus days, or
Yes,
maybe, or 300, almost 1,000 plus days. So what does he need to do? Kasi I think, Ed, he's having problems yada communicating what he really wants to do.
But you need to see, if a president needs to listen to his people.
Okay.
And
You're talking about people around him or
Masa.
people, the
Masa.
Filipino people
Yes,
mismo?
Filipino people.
Okay.
ang gusto nila mangyari, accountability. So dapat may makulong. That's why itong mga kaso ngayon nila, Senator Jinggoy, Sina Joel, that's a slow process. I mean, that's a signal, manifestation na kailangan may makulong. So kung to what extent may makukulong, hinihintay ng taong bayan yan. Without that, people will believe that moro-moro lang to.
Okay.
That's why it's, habang walang nakukulong, talagang di naniniwala ang tao. And the problem with, unfortunately, with the people of President Marcos is, if you've heard, they've overpromised but under-delivered, di ba? Si Ombudsman Boying said, may makukulong sa
Before
December.
Christmas.
Si John Vic Remulla told me, I interviewed him December 17. In 10 days, may makukulong. December 27 came and went. Walang nangyari. So, it's really, if you have nothing to say, don't overpromise. That's the difference with us. Si Pinoy would always say, let's underpromise but overdeliver. Para
right.
you exceed expectations.
Right.
Just don't overpromise na makukulong yan. And you're very definitive. Tapos walang nangyari. Lalong maiinis yung taong bayan.
Lalo ngayon, ang daming, with what's happening to our economy, everything.
No, but that's true. You're right. There are no foreign investments coming in because the fear. I was in a meeting with PCCI, Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and they told me in 2025, the 2024, daming pumipilang investor. Came the last quarter of 2025 or the last 2 quarters, wala na. There were no foreign investors talking to PCCI, asking for a local Filipino partner investor to partner with. Wala. the well just ran dry. So that's why they need to convince not only the Filipino people, but also
But the foreign investors also to come in, no? That
Yes.
it's safe, we're secured, we have a good government, everything's under control, di ba?
Correct.
Kaya, etong ano, Edwin, what's your thoughts on China now? Are they our allies talaga, or they're just
You know, alam mo yung standard to eh. Whenever we're asked a question on China, we would say, I would say as a spokesperson, our relationship with China is not limited to the South China Sea. We have multifaceted relationship. We have people to people exchange, cultural exchange.
Right.
We've got trade relations. So let's not focus our relationship just
with
on
China Sea?
on the
Okay.
South China Sea or the
Okay,
West Philippine
right.
Sea. But the unfortunate thing is, over the past several years, the Chinese have grown bolder in claiming parts of the West Philippine Sea. They're building reefs, becoming islands of military camps. So they've become bolder. So and to top it all, the ambassador, or at least this embassy, seems to be more vociferous in really just going after even the statements of our public officials.
Right.
You shouldn't be doing that. Kasi, I mean, we are in our own country,
Oh.
so maybe...
China nga daw, Chinador nga daw
Yun na
sila.
nga. So that's why nagagalit si Alan Cayetano,
Oh.
si Senator Marcoleta. Kaya I don't understand also why Senator Marcoleta kept on saying na hindi atin ang Calayan Islands Group. So it's you shouldn't be saying things against our own interests.
That's right.
And
During your time, let me just cut you. And during your time, di ba? We were really our stronghold on the West Philippine Sea is really.
but it was the start really of it was really the start of tumapang na ang China eh. So we had
But we were very vocal about it.
yes, we were
di ba?
very vocal. In fact, ito yung nangyari. The first was the Scarborough Shoal.
Yeah.
So they went there, we went there. So nagkaroon ng standoff. The Americans, the Americans offered to deal with it or to negotiate. Sabay tayong lumabas. So paalis kami ng Indonesia noon, I remember. So President Aquino gave the go signal. Sige, let's withdraw. We followed, we were in good faith. Nag-atras kami. Yung mga Chinese hindi umatras. That's what we were forced to do. Obviously, we are outmatched tayo in arms.
Right, arms. So the
Best thing to do was to go to the International Tribunal. We filed a case, arbitral tribunal.
But we won, di ba?
We won.
Oh.
We won. Unfortunately, we won during the time of President Duterte, who treated that decision as a trash piece of paper lang.
Oh,
And,
okay.
He was downplaying the importance of that. So, and then we have very, very close ties with China under President Duterte. That's why, ngayon, galit ng tao. Ngayon, nakikita mo yung ginagawa ng China. They seem to be sending parang mas matapang pa sila ngayon. Nasa sa ating bansa sila eh.
Right.
So I think they should really dial down their rhetoric. We have all the right to say so because we are in our own land eh.
Right. It was a very big win. We were all so happy to find out that we were talagang joyful and when we found out that we won that
it was a major victory even
major
in the
victory,
international
that's right.
circles, yeah. It was a very difficult, and there were also internal struggles. What claims do we do? What causes of action do we file? Eventually it was settled naman, and our case was talagang panalong-panalo.
But you mentioned about Digong, the former president, having very good relationships with China. Did we ever get, just fill me in with any data did you really actually did we ever get anything from them?
I'm not sure kung...
Parang kasi there were all pledges, there were lots of them. Parang,
but in fairness to any government, there will always be pledges. It's a point of whether sisingilin mo, mag-invest na ba kayo.
Tutuloy ba o hindi?
In President Duterte's time, the Western really just medyo bumaba investment from the West. And most of the Chinese invested as to how much I don't recall na. But the Chinese were... One thing that happened during President Duterte's time was the rise of Pogo.
Maraming nagpapogi sa Pogo.
Daming yumaman din sa Pogo. But the problem there is, apparently, si Xi Jinping asked President Duterte, can you stop doing Pogo? And President Duterte said no because it's bringing us income.
Oh, okay.
but it turns out may utang pa they've not been paying enough taxes, but it did provide livelihood to a lot of our
Yes, a lot of
Filipinos.
Filipino people.
Plus, ang dami ng mga Chinese na pumasok because they needed Chinese dealers. Mga ganun.
Mhm.
But also, because of their presence, tumaas din yung real estate natin. Ang daming Chinese nag-rent ng mga condominiums. So, it's one of those positive. But eventually, we realized human trafficking na pala ginagawa nila. So, there are goods and bad points, but turns out that the worst, ang daming nangyaring negative.
The negative far outweighs the good points of them being here.
Yeah. But at least, with all the investigations conducted, for instance, by Senator Risa Hontiveros on Alice Guo, nabukas yung mata natin on the negative effects of Pogo. That's why, to a large degree, ang daming umalis. So, bagsak din ang condominiums. Ang daming nagkaroon ng glut because a lot of the Chinese were renting out the condominium units. So, but that's a payoff for doing the right thing.
You think the president is doing the right movements when it comes to China now?
Politica all the way. Politica all the way. Politica all the way.
It's very, very diplomatic. In fact, there was pressure on him to declare the ambassador persona non grata, and he didn't do it. So, but I think internationally speaking, we are on the sphere with the Americans because right now he has allowed defensive weapons to be placed
Here
in the
in
Philippines.
right?
So that's a sign that we're in the orbit of the U.S. now. There's what we call the First Island Chain Group. The First Island Chain Group is a defense position of the United States, Taiwan, Japan, Philippines. Parang if you look at the map, you invert it, ba China nandito,
Yes,
Japan, Taiwan, Philippines. Baliktarin mo, ang tingin ng China, may bantay. We're being blocked by all these countries. That's why they see it as a threat also.
Yeah.
So, plus also they don't have resources. The resources are in South China Sea, plus the oil. No, it's the same thing that they're trying to avoid that Japan did. Because Japan also didn't have resources. China is very dependent on oil, so that's one commodity they need to be assured of. So there's a lot of national security, food security. There's a lot of all these concerns happening with China. Plus, there's a threat to invade Taiwan.
That's
But-
right.
But I think it will be delayed because there was a purge of Chinese generals.
Yeah,
He
just
purged,
recently,
yeah.
no?
He purged the very few Chinese officials who have battlefield experience. Tayo mga 250,000 lang ating armed forces pero hasayon sa giyera because of the war in the south.
Right. Pero sabi naman nila daw, it's not going to be a matter of numbers. It's just a matter of buttons.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Diba?
why you have defensive weapons here. So just to make sure that we're at least hindi tayo dehado. Pero I don't think they will invade in the sense that ano lang tayo, logistical support tayo. Maybe they'll bomb us some area, specific area. But there's a tabletop scenario talaga na both US and China will suffer, but the Chinese will suffer more.
You think it's on the whole, it's actually a battle between the US and China with what's happening here in the country now, including local politics?
Here?
Yes.
Right now, US is more concerned with Taiwan because the reason is they built what we call a silicon shield because the world's #1 producer of silicon chips is found in Taiwan, TSMC in Taiwan. So that's why the silicon shield, but they have to protect because the chips are very, very important to the U.S. economy, especially with them being high tech. So
especially with their arms,
right?
Diba? There's a joke on with the Chinese. I'm like, yes, send them all, and then we'll just press a button, and they'll all fall down fall in the ocean.
You would still require an invasion naman talaga because Xi Jinping wants by 2027 to invade Taiwan. So, but we don't know if it's going to happen.
2027, that's next year, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
That's a plan, but because of the purging,
Yes.
we don't know what will happen. But they've already, the US, we don't know yet if it will continue. But pag 2028, si Sara maging presidente, mawawala yan. But you're right in the sense that the Americans are also looking at the Philippine elections. How we will fare. So, problema rin sa kanila pag si Sara, it happened to us when President Duterte became president, he was pro-China. Right now, you see all the aircraft carriers coming to the Philippines. Noong panahon namin, sila Pinoy was able to ride in an aircraft carrier. So, to visit an aircraft carrier. These are talagang it's going to be a huge concern. South China Sea is what we call possibly a flashpoint.
With all this information that's coming in now, the mga viewers natin now, they're having parang nagkakaroon na sila ngayon ng information overload about what's happening and what could be happening, especially before 2028. So you think a President Sara Duterte would be good for the Philippines, especially with what's happening abroad, in the international, with US and
The concern with investors is there are only two rules that a foreign investor would look for before investing in a country. And those two rules are, number one, predictability of rules. Kasi you're going to invest in the long term. You cannot just suddenly change horses midstream.
Right.
So, for instance, I invested because these are the rules when I invested, and suddenly they will change it to the detriment of the investor. Then they will say, I don't want to come here. So they're very concerned with predictability of rules. Number two is a level playing field. Yung walang lamangan, itong taipan na ito, mas pabor ko. It has to be that. If it's like that, people will come in. That's why there were many foreign investors who came to the Philippines during the time of Pinoy, because they were guaranteed a predictability of rules and a level playing field. We don't know how President Sara Duterte will deal with that. The other concern is on the human rights. Will she continue the policies of Tokhang? So that's another concern, because obviously we don't want to go back to a regime where you disrespect human rights. No? Admittedly, there are some benefits. Tumahimik ang mga komunidad. I mean, that's anecdotally, marami mga drug areas. Talagang pinatay yung mga drug addicts. Pero it degrades your moral values. Yung pwede mo nang sabihin, patayin na lang natin yan. It becomes so, parang life has become cheap. That's a concern also. And number three, yung hindi natin tested ang ni Sara on the international space, in the international field. So, she's a big question mark on and plus the concern now that China is becoming resurgent. Our anti-Chinese sentiment is growing also, not against the Chinese people, but against the policies of China. So, and she appears to be favoring China. So that may have an effect also on how we protect our borders or our territories. Diba? That's a concern.
What can you say about the present crop of the senators now, as comparatively to the time of when you were in government?
They have changed their policy. They don't debate as much anymore. Kasi parang ang usapan na pag-usapan na lang natin. So wala ka nang debate sa House, sa Senate, sa floor. Very few na lang. So that's why you don't see really the quality. All you hear are mga nag-aagawan ng base. Nag-aagawan base. Sino majority? Si Alan Pratt is trying to, inamin naman ni Alan that we're in the minority, would always want to be the majority. So it's always and the margin of the majority is always very, very thin, very tenuous. That's why they always have to look behind and see sino bang pumaplano. We just finished a coup attempt.
Yeah, just recently, but which did not.
And I was told to expect another coup attempt in March. Diba, parang
Another
one. It's not gonna end because they're also looking at. I was in the book launch of Senator Frank Dillon's book, and he said, if the minority becomes majority, there will be no Senate impeachment trial in the Senate. Because obviously, tapos, yung minority report nila, they will clear sila Jinggoy, Joel, sila Cheese. It's really night and day yung, pati sila parang hindi na nag-uusap eh.
Actually, yun nga, nagulat nga ako eh. The plenary is, wala na eh. It's an empty chamber.
Correct. And it's parang they've been fighting, there seems to be no collegiality. So that has diminished a bit, especially with all this bangayan na talagang iba na ngayon eh. Matatalino pa rin yung marami sa kanila, matatalino pa rin. But I think the quality of the debates has gone down. Talagang very few debates. They all just talk, let's just finish this away from the Pero at least to the credit of the Senate Congress, they were able to fix the budget na. Because, pero ginawa nila yun dahil nagalit ang taong bayan. Kung di tayo nagalit, I doubt tuloy pa rin yung Ang tawag din, tuloy ang ligaya.
Tuloy ang ligaya,
Oo,
tuloy ang
diba?
ligaya. Pero, ito naman, I'll get a little bit personal. You're articulate, you're very learned, you're a constitutional luminary. Why didn't you run for the Senate?
Hindi ko hilig eh.
Ha?
Hindi ko hilig.
Hindi mo hilig.
I was asked to run before, but I said,
The evil triumphs and good men do nothing. Di ba?
you can do it in various ways. No, but I'll tell you this. Medyo
Sayang,
mag-aangat
eh.
ako ng konti. I was the one who convinced Lenny Robredo to run as vice. During that time, si Grace po, in fact, I told Mar, at that time, si Secretary Mar Rojas, lamang si Grace. Mataas ang survey niya. Sabi, let's talk to Grace and convince Grace to be our vice. Kasi bata pa naman siya.
Yeah.
And at the time, they had a good relationship, by the way. Walang away si In
In
fact, it was, what people don't know, it was Mar who told the president, let's get Grace as a senatorial candidate. Sinabi niya, si Pinoy, MTRCB lang yan eh.
Right.
Sabi ni Mar, hindi, she'll be an asset. People don't know that. So, but when we asked her, when I told Mar, let's talk to Grace para to tell your friends, maybe she can learn from you and be the vice president muna and eventually become president. Because our idea is, what you don't know is for reforms to take root, you need to have 10 years of governance.
Right.
Because at 6 years, hindi pa buo yung the reforms will not take root. That's a World Bank study. So
okay.
we were thinking, imagine if you have 18 years of good governance. The Philippines will be transformed radically.
Yeah.
So we were thinking at that point, si Noy, si Mar, and then si Grace. Unfortunately, Grace got influenced by someone. And so that someone convinced her, hindi, mas mataas ka, huwag kang papay. Masyadong, she was too in a hurry. That's a problem.
Too much too soon, ha?
Too much too soon. And I felt that kulang pa siya. And tama sabi ni Noy, MTRCB lang yan eh. Di ba, parang ihasa muna natin sa Senado and then sa pagka-vice pangulo and learn from the president. Kung nangyari yun, mananalo si Mar nun because at the end of the day, kung nagsama si Grace at saka si Mar na boto, they got 44%.
Sana, no?
Si Duterte got only 38 pag nagsama. And Binay was obviously bumagsak na si Binay. But that was the tragedy of that year. After that, I told, so ayaw na ni Grace sumakbo. So solo na siya. And I convinced them, let's get Lenny Robredo. Ayaw ng maraming mga politiko. But I convinced them, bakit hindi? Bakit siya si Lenny Robredo? And I had to talk to Lenny Robredo. And then, nung 2021, ayaw niya tumakbo. I talked to her. Sabi ko, Ma'am, you're at 6% in July. I will do a campaign for you in 2 months. In September, pag naging 13% ka, viable ka. So I did that, let Lenny lead. And yung kay Lenny tayo na kanta. So talagang maano talaga si Lenny. So now she's being asked to run. But I don't think she's running anymore.
She's not?
I don't think she's running anymore.
Oh.
She has devoted her time. She
To
has
Naga.
decided to devote time to Naga. Because medyo napabayaan ng konti eh. So she has to, yan ang legacy nila ng mga Robredo, si Jessie eh. That's why she has to build up sa Naga City. Then there will be, and that's why we're looking at Bam or Risa to be, ang problema nang the people are still thinking, longing for Lenny to run. But I think people who should really believe that Lenny doesn't want to run anymore.
And
well,
that's precisely why you're there. You've done it before, then you can do it again.
But I've imposed too much already on Lenny. Yung first time when I asked her to run for vice, ayaw rin niya. The second time I asked her to run, but that effort is, may team na rin naman siya. No? Ayaw ng mga anak niya. Sabi, tama na yan. So I think third time is too much na. So I don't want to ask her anymore. But that's where I believe that, and the reason why I'm cautiously optimistic that we may win because we are in a pre-2010 situation. Remember pre-2010, there was 12 years of corruption si ERAP and GMA. Sobrang MBNCT, mga ganun. So it was really bad that people were longing for an anti-corruption crusader. And that's why we voted Noy Aquino,
yes.
who said, I am going to, kung walang korap, walang mahirap. We are in that situation right now. Kasi galit ang tao. And if you do listen to the people, ang number one issue is corruption. And economic issues. Pero tied yun eh. Pag corrupt ka, lalong babagsak ang gobyerno, ang bansa. So I believe ang hanapin ng tao ngayon talaga yung somebody who will disrupt the system. talagang babasagin niya yung sistema. That's the only way.
Talagang drastic ka nga, ano, ha?
Oh, you know, we have a saying, Noy had a saying that we're here not to perpetuate the status quo, we're here to break rice balls.
Oh,
So
wow.
talagang ano.
Talagang, yeah.
So
right,
that's the kind of person that we need right now.
Right.
And an anti-corruption crusader who will radically change the system talaga.
So it's just one way of saying we need someone who's iron-fisted? Is that what you're saying?
Matapang.
Talagang
May
matapang
may
talaga.
kandidato na ako.
Oh, wow.
Ako
may kandidato ka na, ha?
May kandidato na ako. Hindi
okay.
lalaki.
Hindi mas matapang yata yung mga babae.
Hindi,
No?
matapang talaga yung kandidato ko. Kinalaban sila Alice ko, kinalaban ng China. So,
Parang kilala ko yan. Actually, she's also a good friend of mine. And I'll be rooting for her also.
no, that's my preference because I really felt that we really need an anti-corruption crusade. And for the longest time, sasabihin ko na si Risa has been fighting for, she's been up the forefront. Kinalaban si Sara, kinalaban si Digong. Talagang hindi siya umaatras. But we need that eh.
That's right. I remember the Senate hearing, siya lang talagang, di ba? No, that's not it. Diba?
That's why binanatan siya ni Sara. Over the weekend, sinabi niya, ang impeachment complaint ng Akbayan ay para sa presidential ambitions ni Risa Hontiveros.
Nagbitaw si ganun
Nagbitaw si Sara. Kaya sinabi ko, ang tingin nila talaga, threat si Risa. Kumbaga, they're looking at her as ang peer niyang lalabanan. Kaya, tingnan mo yung ito, I've observed this. Sa social media ni Risa, panay-banat ng mga DDS. Pero sa social media ni Bam, wala.
Well, they can tandem.
They can tandem, of course.
Diba?
But you know, not to say, even if I prefer Risa, they have to go through a process. That's why that February 5 meeting, na lahat sila nandun sila, Lenny, Bam, Kiko, Frank Dillon Butchabat, lahat yan. They have to come up with a process. How do we choose a candidate from our side na wag naman magtulad na ang kagandahan lang nito, the last time kasi, pumili sila, walang politiko. Kailangan talaga may politiko sa loob. That's why si Butch at saka si Butch Abad and si Frank Dillon was part of that whole Kasi may mga business people din.
This is going to be an interesting 2028, ano?
Politica all the way. Politica all the way. Politica all the way.
But talagang default talaga, kung walang nangyaring si Sara ang magiging presidente. But you know, hopefully she'll turn out to be good one, if siya manalo. We will always root for our president naman. Basta gumawa ka ng mabuti.
Dapat supportahan pa rin natin whoever's going to be there.
Pero mas maganda kung yung kandidato ko manalo, di ba?
Well, being politically savvy as you are and a good campaign manager, well, you
I'm
know.
not a campaign manager. but it's really more of talaga, just because we were trained by Pinoy, good governance. So sanay kami na we know how to do things in the right way. But of course, there are contending forces there. So we need to win the people's hearts and minds. That's a challenge for me.
All right. Okay, we have here, bilis lang, kulang sa oras dito. But anyway, we need to do this. We want to hear your thoughts on this. We have a that we call name drop. Okay, I will drop a name and then you say what's on your mind.
Okay.
You know, so quickly para okay, we start off with Ombudsman Boying Remulla.
Matapang. Mga ganon?
Yan,
matapang.
Matapang. Senator Ping Lacson.
Matapang din.
Matapang din. Okay. Senator Bam Aquino.
Technocrat.
SP Tito Soto.
Wise man yan.
Rep Kiko Barzaga.
Meow, meow.
Okay. Parang default yata yung kay Kiko no? Okay. Rep Eli San Fernando.
Gusto ko yan. May yan. Future.
Yeah, okay. The future, ha? Okay. Rep Sandro Marcos.
Sandpaper pa.
Sandpaper pa. Kailangan
masyado siyang privilege eh. He's very privileged. He has to be sandpapered so that the best will come out.
Okay.
If he's not sandpapered,
so he's a diamond in the rough.
He's a diamond in the rough.
Okay. John Vic Remulla.
Maraming pangako.
VP.
Ay, mag-governor siya. Hindi natatakbo yan.
Talaga.
Hindi tatakbo yan. You know why?
Hindi natuloy ang
Wala na
presidente.
the Remullas have nobody eh. Si Boying cannot run. Even if he resigns right now, he cannot run for any position in the next election because that is prohibited under the Ombudsman Act. So, si John Vic, kung tatakbong presidente, kinulong nila si Bong Revilla eh. Si Bong
Paano na
Revilla can
Cavite?
coalesce with Bambol
Right.
Tolentino. So, somebody, pag nawala ang Cavite, at matagal na nilang ang Cavite,
Cavite.
they will not lose. I'm sure that Boeing will tell John Vic, tumakbo ka ng governor.
Okay. Wow. Good. Okay, Sara Duterte, mamaya na. Benji Magalong. Mayor.
Magulong kausap.
Magulong kausap, ha? O parang Cannon Road ba yan? Maraming pasikat.
Dapat nga sinabi ko, Kenan Road. Oo nga.
Parang gano'n. Okay, Mayor Vico Soto.
Pwedeng presidente yan.
Pwedeng presidente. Okay. Ito na. Dito na tayo. Sara Duterte.
Masyadong, meron man tinatawag, kung lalaki maginoong bastos, meron man tawag na maginang bastos.
Maginang bastos. O medyo-medyo na lang. Medyo-medyo. Okay. Digong Duterte.
I wish him well.
We wish him well. And
Wala-
President, all right.
Hindi, pero ano na. I mean, let justice be done. I mean, we have a saying, let justice be done though the heavens fall.
Good.
So yun, kay Digo. Personally, I'm against what he did. And he should account for those crimes.
And President BBM.
I wish he was tougher. There's a word that I describe him. It's called affable. He's very affable. But in situations like now, he has to act tough.
Right.
And people will not follow someone who is affable. People will follow someone who is determined, deliberate,
Parang
and
ano
resolute.
yata no? Parang he needs to have some degree of leadership by fear. Do you think? Well,
Fear or he should show anger.
anger. I think that's better.
Kasi,
Anger, fear.
but that's true. Machiavelli said it's better to rule by fear.
Oh,
It's better to be feared by your people than loved by your people. Whether
Right.
it's true or not, it depends. But obviously, Duterte ruled by fear.
Yeah, that's true.
Di ba? But he needs to show anger that I am with you, not just by words.
Right.
So that's, I think, what's lacking in President Marcos. But he's been doing, but his heart, I think, barring any revelation of corruption, his heart is in the right place.
Wow.
Wala siyang, at least, his legacy is to make sure that the Marcos name is cleared. Ang problema, hindi yung Marcos name eh. Yung middle name niya, yung Romualdez name. Yun ang nag-aano sa kanya ngayon. Hindi na yung Marcos name.
It's not the Marcos name. It's the
Romualdez name.
That's the first time I heard that, and that's good. Well, tama ka rin naman doon. And that's always been the case. All of those that I've spoken with, medyo yung Marcos name not supposed to be medyo maayos na. Hindi, yung middle name mo naging
Yung
problema.
middle name yung problema.
Oh my God. But I'm just very happy that we still have the likes of you still with us, who's even if you're not in government, you're able to give us the information that we need.
And also shows like you would get people to enlighten our countrymen.
Oh nga eh.
Yourselves.
But praise God for the likes of you, Attorney Edwin Lacierda. And before we go, of course, not without song. We've always been, kailangan, that's part of the part of our in life, di ba? Kailangan meron tayong konting tawag dito, entertainment. Di ba?
Anong gagawin natin?
Hindi, but we're both same era. If you were to, I remember we sang before with the president. It was a closed door, but no one everyone was disallowed from putting out their phones. But we sang in one of those congressional parties.
Ano kinanta niya?
Ang kinanta niya, ano ba? I love you, baby. Parang ganun yata. No, right. I love you, baby. Di ba? What's your go-to song?
Ngayon? Aliw ako sa Ali.
Ali.
Isang araw,
Naglamaneho sa Cubao.
Bip, bip,
bip, bip.
Ang ginawa ko
Bip,
kasi
bip,
yung mga muro, may mga nagmumura sa show ko. Kinakantahan ko na. Bip, bip.
Sabi ko, yung bashing, dapat bash, stop Stop yun may bash stop na yan. Dapat meron tayong
Okay
gano'n. Maganda yun. Bip, bip, yun not. You wanna sing to them? Let's sing to our bashers.
I don't know
Nung
that.
isang araw, nagmamaneho sa Cubao.
Bip, bip,
bip, bip.
bip, bip. Wala na, nakalimutan ko na yung lyrics. But I find it so nakakaaliw because sa dami ng trabaho mo, you just watch them.
Oo
And you
nga.
see various people doing the dance. I saw, for instance, Pia Hontiveros and Risa Hontiveros, Kiko and Lenny, and all the others na talagang ginagawang ano na lang.
Pero do you have your own, tawag dito, are you into the social media thing?
Yeah, I do.
TikTok, you have that already?
I don't have TikTok. I don't want to use TikTok because of the Chinese. So that's what. By the way, when we went to China, state visit kami, our national security advisor told us, don't bring a burner phone.
Oh,
They're
okay.
they're very paranoid. So we were told to bring our burner phone, don't bring your phone because you may be bugged and all that. So, but we followed our national security advisor just to be sure. But that's the if you're, and especially right now, when you're meeting, you can be bugged. So the phones are asked to be put. Are you familiar with Faraday cage?
Yes.
So there's a bag now. So
Right,
you put your phones on a Faraday cage, and so that you won't be bugged. So it's a paranoia of technology.
Right.
It has its good and bad points. But that's really. But I'm just into Facebook, Threads, Instagram, but not so active, except for Twitter, X,
Oh.
and Facebook pala. So
like anything, it's a matter of usage, di ba?
right.
Or it would work for or against you. But I'm sure, with you around, everything will be so much, it's just going to be such a thrill, such a good feeling that we still have the likes of Attorney Edwin Lacierda here with us, still present in politics
Thank
and the country's issues. Maraming salamat.
Maraming
Ed.
salamat din,
Thank you very much.
I'll see you in the campaign.
Oh, yeah.
Malapit na.
Politica all the way.
All right, thank you very much again to Attorney Edwin Lacierda. Okay, just a bit of recap. Sabi po ni Edwin, being a spokesperson of the president, you should always take the cue from the president. The rule of thumb there is he should cater to the audience of one. All right? Pagdating naman po doon sa ICC, sabi din po niya, the international treaty, the Rome Statute is above the local constitution. So, ang sabi niya rin na the president, BBM, is too affable and he should get angry. Minsan, dapat magalit din siya. Magpakita rin siya ng grit. Alright? And yung mga tao sa paligid ni Presidente BBM, sana do not overpromise daw and under-deliver dahil napapahamak daw po ang administrasyon. So, stick to your promises, stick to your schedules. And last but not the least, more than any time in our history, sabi po ni Edwin, the anti-corruption crusader is what we need. Okay? So, at dyan po nagtatapos ang politika all the way. Lagi po nating tatandaan, diskusyon po, hindi po away. Opinion lang, hindi to personalan. This is Jojo A. Peace and love.
Politica all the way. Politica all the way. Politica all the way. Politica